The following modules talks about basic concepts in the study of mortality, the mortality rates such as crude rates and specific rates, and also discusses various illustrations. As per the definition of death, it occurs only after live birth, such that abortions and stillbirths which occur prior to live birth would not be considered death, but have specific terms in reference to it, such as early fetal mortality, intermediate fetal mortality, etc. When mortality is considered in terms of the first year of life, it is frequently considered in terms of the neonatal mortality and the post-neonatal mortality. There are other measures such as infant mortality, maternal mortality, the crude death rate, etc., definitions of which are discussed in the following module. These measures tell us of health status of a particular area or a particular population and tend to reflect the population's socio-economic condition and also the status of health services systems. Death rate specific to particular ages, specific to sex, and also to particular causes or diseases can also be calculated.
I am Dr. C.P. Prakasham, retired professor from International Institute for Population Sciences, Mumbai. Module 2, Concepts in Mortality. Learning objectives. In this module, we will learn 1. Basic concepts of mortality. Number 2. Mortality rates, crude and specific rates. Number 3. Illustrations. Death occurs after live birth. Measurement of mortality starts after loss of birth. United Nations defines live birth is the complete expulsion or extraction of its mother of a product of conception, irrespective of duration of pregnancy, which after such separation breathes or shows any evidences of life, such as beating the heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or defined movement of voluntary muscles, whether or not the umbilical cord has been cut or the placenta is attached. Each product of such a birth is considered live birth. Any death prior to live birth is not considered as death. Hence, abortion and stillbirth are referred to fetal loss or fetal deaths. According to WHO, a fetal death is a death prior to the completion, expulsion or extraction from its mother as a product of conception, irrespective of duration of pregnancy, and after such separation the fetus does not breathe or show any other evidences of life, such as beating of heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles. Early fetal mortality, also known as miscarriage and abortion. Mortality before the 20th week of the gestational life is known as early fetal mortality. Abortion. Abortion is defined as any expulsion of the fetus, either spontaneous or induced, which occurs before the fetus becoming viable, that is capable of independent existence outside its mother, is known as abortion. Intermediate fetal mortality. Mortality before the 20th week of the gestational life is known as the intermediate fetal mortality. Stillbirth, late fetal mortality. Mortality after the 28 weeks of gestational life is known as stillbirth, which is birth not having any signs or symptoms of life after cutting the umbilical cord, separation from the mother. Stillbirth ratio equals to number of stillbirths divided by total number of live births multiplied by 1000. Example: the stillbirth ratio for Greater Bombay for year 1989 may be computed as follows. Total number of stillbirths 1989 equals to 6174. Total live births equals to 209325. Therefore, stillbirth ratio for Greater Bombay for 1989 equals to 6174 divided by 209325 multiplied by 1000 equals to 29.49. Stillbirth rate: number of stillbirths divided by live births plus stillbirths multiplied by 1000. Example: the stillbirth rate for Greater Bombay for year 1989 may be computed as follows. Total number of stillbirths 1989 6174, total live births 209325. Therefore, stillbirth rate for Greater Bombay for 1989 equals to 6174 divided by 209325 plus 6174 multiplied by 1000 equals to 28.64. Neonatal mortality: the mortality of live born before completing 4 weeks or 28 days of life is known as neonatal mortality. Neonatal mortality rate: mortality in the first week of life is frequently divided into neonatal mortality and post-neonatal mortality, that is, mortality in the first 4 weeks of life and mortality between 4 weeks up to end of infancy, 1 year of life. Neonatal mortality rate equals to number of deaths between 0 to 4 weeks of life divided by total number of live births in the year multiplied by 1000. Example: the neonatal mortality rate for Greater Bombay for year 1989 may be computed as follows. Total number of deaths between 0 to 4 weeks during 1989 equals to 6673. Total number of registered live births during 1989 equals to 209325. Therefore, the neonatal mortality rate for Greater Bombay for 1989 equals to 6673 divided by 209325 multiplied by 1000 equals to 31.87. Post-neonatal mortality: the mortality of live born after 28 days after birth but before reaching the age of 1 year is called post-neonatal mortality. Post-neonatal mortality rate equals to number of deaths between 1 month to 1 year of life divided by total number of live births in that year multiplied by 1000, or post-neonatal mortality rate equals to infant deaths minus neonatal deaths divided by total number of live births in that year multiplied by 1000. Example: the post-neonatal mortality rate for Greater Bombay for year 1989 may be computed as follows. Total number of deaths 1 to 4 years during 1989 is 4121. Total number of registered live births during 1989 209325. Therefore, the post-neonatal mortality rate for Greater Bombay for year 1989 equals to 4121 divided by 209325 multiplied by 1000 equals to 19.68. Post-neonatal mortality equals to infant deaths minus neonatal deaths divided by total number of live births in that year multiplied by 1000, that is equals to 10794 minus 6673 divided by 209325 multiplied by 1000 equals to 19.68. Perinatal mortality: deaths between the period of 7 months of gestation, that is stillbirth, to the first week of life. The perinatal mortality is defined as the number of deaths during the perinatal period, the sum of the late fetal deaths and early neonatal deaths occurring in a community during specified year expressed as per 1000 of the sum of live births and stillbirths during the same year. Perinatal mortality ratio equals to stillbirths plus early neonatal deaths divided by stillbirths multiplied by 1000, or perinatal mortality rate equals to stillbirths plus early neonatal deaths, that is 0 to 1 week divided by live births plus stillbirths multiplied by 1000. Infant mortality. Infant mortality of live born who have not reached their first birth is known as infant mortality. Infant mortality rate is defined as the number of infants dying under 1 year of age in a year in a given geographical area per 1000 live births in the same year and geographical area. It is a good indicator of health status of a given area or population, since it tends to reflect the population's socio-economic condition and status of health services. It can be calculated as follows. Infant mortality rate IMR equals to number of deaths of infant under age 1 in a given year and area divided by total live births in the same year multiplied by 1000. Maternal mortality. Maternal deaths is defined as the deaths of a woman while pregnant or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of the duration and site of pregnancy, from any cause related to or aggravated by the pregnancy or its management, but not from accidental or incidental causes. Maternal mortality rate equals to number of maternal deaths in the age group 15 to 49 in a given year and area whole divided by number of women in the age group 15 to 49 in that year and area multiplied by 100,000. Maternal mortality ratio. Number of maternal deaths in age group 15 to 49 in a given year and area divided by number of live births in that year and area multiplied by 100,000. One can observe the basic difference in the two measures of maternal mortality given above. In the first measure, maternal mortality rate, the numerator is a part of the denominator, whereas in maternal mortality ratio, the numerator is not a part of the denominator. The simplest measure of mortality is the crude death rate, CDR. It is defined as crude death rate equals to number of deaths during the year in a given geographic area divided by mid-year population in the same year and same area multiplied by 1000. Example, the crude death rate CDR for Greater Bombay for year 1989 may be computed as follows. Total number of deaths during the year 1989 equals to 73469. Total population in the middle of the year, that is mid-year population during 1989 equals to 8243405. Therefore, the crude death rate for Greater Bombay for year 1989 equals to 73469 divided by 8243405 multiplied by 1000 equals to 8.9. Crude death rate CDR summarizes the effect of two factors. One is A. Population composition, B. Age-specific death rates. A problem with the CDR is that it disregards the age structure of the population. For this reason, it is called crude. Example, if the CDR of Sweden is 7 per 1000 population and CDR of India is 7.4, it should not be considered the health status of Sweden and India in that year is more or less same. The crude rate can be misleading. India had only 8% of the population of age 60 years or more, whereas Sweden has 23%. Old age population die away and the CDR naturally become higher. A valid comparison is obtained when the rate is computed by assuming same age structure in the two countries through standardization. The other brings the age-wise mortality pattern to a common base. Both requires age-specific death rates. Hence, crude death rate is a crude measure. Correcting crude death rate on the basis of completeness of registration of deaths. If satisfactory estimates of under-registration of deaths and under-enumeration of population is available, crude death rate may be adjusted according to the formula CDR equals to deaths divided by percentage of completeness of registration of deaths divided by deaths divided by percentage of completeness of census count, population count. Age-specific death rates. Age-specific death rates ASDR equals to number of deaths in a particular age group divided by number of persons living in that age group multiplied by 1000. Age-specific death rate for the age group 15 to 19 in a geographical area in a given year is given by age-specific death rates 15 to 19 years equals to number of deaths in the age group 15 to 19 years in a given year and in a given geographical area divided by mid-year population of persons in the age group 15 to 19 in the same year in the same geographical area multiplied by 1000. Similarly, age-specific death rates can be calculated for the age groups 20 to 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 34, 35 to 39, 40 to 44, 45 to 49 and other age groups according to the availability of data about deaths in that specific age group and the mid-year population in the same age. Example, the age-specific rates provide an adequate comparison of the health status in two areas or at two times for that particular age group. In a given year, say 2013, the age-specific death rate in the age group 5 to 14 years was 0.7 in India, but only 0.08 in Sweden per 1000 population of that age. The rate in India was more than 10 times. That shows the qualitative difference in deaths in these two countries. Specific death rates is calculated for number 1 age specific, sex specific and number 2 cause or disease specific, namely tuberculosis, cancer, accidents, etc. Rates can also be made specific for many other variables such as income, religion, caste, housing, etc. Specific death rates can help us to identify particular group at risk. Cause specific death rates. Cause specific death rates equals to number of deaths due to particular cause in a given year and in a given geographical area whole divided by mid-year population in same year and in a geographical area multiplied by 1000. Cause may be cancer, TB, etc. Sex specific death rates equals to number of male deaths in a given year and in a given group geographical area divided by mid-year male population in same year and in a given geographical area multiplied by 1000. Sex, age, cause specific death rate. Cause specific death rate equals to number of males aged 60 to 65 deaths due to cancer in a given year and in a given geographical area divided by mid-year male population 60 to 65 in same year and in a given geographical area multiplied by 1000. The denominator of cause specific death rate can be redefined persons suffering with particular cause according to availability of data. References. These are the three important references. Sherlock Henry, S. Jacob, S. Siegel and Associates 1980. The Methods and Materials of Demography Volume 2. Bogue, D.J. 1993. Readings in Population Research Methodology Volume 2. Number 3. Pathak K.B. and Ram F. 1998. Techniques of Demographic Analysis, Himalaya Publications, Mumbai. Questions. Number 1. Define A. Live births, B. Fetal loss or fetal deaths, C. Abortion, D. Stillbirth. Number 2. Define A. Neonatal mortality rate, B. Post-neonatal mortality rate, C. Infant mortality rate. 3. Why crude death rate is called crude measure. 4. Define maternal mortality rate and maternal mortality ratio. 5. Define age-specific death rate for the age group 60 to 64 years. 6. Define age cause-specific death rates for the age group 70 to 74 for the cause cancer. Fill in the blanks by looking at the module.